At best, the alien abduction phenomenon is a terrifying, traumatic experience. At its worst, well, we think they sometimes take people and don't put them back.
I lost my mother and brother to this trauma. He murdered her, then killed himself.
These women are being used as human incubators, with all their children stolen away into the night.
A 6-foot-tall entity of blue-white light paralyzed me, then bent down and said into my ear, "Hi, Steve." It knew my name.
We hear gruesome stories of experiments and dissections. Imagine dying on a metal table while paralyzed, surrounded by alien faces. It's a real horror story. Welcome back, everyone, to our show on Gnostic TV Network called Abductions 101, UFOs and the Paranormal Connection. I'm your host, Leslie Shaw, and
I'm Stephen Shaw.
And welcome again. We always start our show with one of our personal experiences, and tonight Stephen's going to tell you about this weird little entity.
Yes, this is in 1983, in around about January. I was sleeping on the floor at that time in my life, and I was awakened, basically, I just woke up at 5:30 in the morning. I was sleeping on the floor, I felt very relaxed, I wasn't in any sleep paralysis, and there was a little light on in the room so I could see where I was, and I just happened to look up to one of the beams that I had installed in the room, and I saw this little, about 2 to 3 foot entity with a triangular shaped head that was black with these big dark eyes that was shimmery, that was hovering up there by the beam. And when it noticed that I noticed it floated down to my right side and landed on the floor next to my right arm. And it said to me in this deep baritone voice, "Do you want me to help you get out of your body?" And myself, having been studying for a few years Tai Chi and basically knowing some things that, you really can't show fear. And for whatever reason, I said to it, "You can help me, but you cannot possess me." And it started to pull my right arm as it was like moving back up into the air. And it let out this kind of this growl of frustration. And then it backed off and it just disappeared. When I got up in the morning, believe it or not, my dad said, "Who were you having a conversation with at 5:30 in the morning?" So my dad, who was in the bedroom, heard two voices, one, of course, being mine and the other one. But I always find it interesting that for whatever reason, I decided at that point to say, "You can help me, but you cannot possess me." And I've learned since then that is one of the ways to protect yourself from entities that may or may not be, friendly.
Describe this entity a little more detail, please.
It was chunky, okay? When I say it's probably about 2 foot. It was almost like a 2x2 in a sense. It was this triangular shaped head, not like up and down, but side to side. And these big dark eyes and these big kind of, like I'd say maybe 3-toed feet. And it was kind of chunky in the middle. And it was just something that, for whatever reason, I saw it, but I wasn't scared. I was in that state where I was awake, but I saw it, but I wasn't terrorized by it. And it came down and asked me a very reasonable question.
Seemed strange that it had, being a small entity, that it had this deep voice. I would have expected it to have this little voice.
No, yeah, I know, but it was one of these things where, growing up in a family since the age of 3, having similar type of things happen to multiple members over 4 generations, I was not surprised, and I thought I'd just share that with the audience.
When I think you told me once that when it was pulling your arm, you had this like a little kernel of fear and kind of resisted it, that's what caused it to be frustrated and let out that growl, right?
I had the kernel of fear below my what's called the dantian, or below the belly button, just before I said, "You can help me, but you cannot possess me." I kind of knew intuitively that I could not show fear, because if I said, "Oh yeah, go ahead, take me out," it would be kind of like saying, okay, like with Dracula coming into the house, inviting the guy in, that kind of thing. It's like, okay, you're inviting an entity to do what they want with you, whether it's positive or negative. So it was a gut reaction, literally from my gut. Okay, so that's 100% true what happened.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing, my darling.
Okay, we got to go.
Yeah, we'll be back in a moment with our wonderful guest for the evening. Welcome back, everyone. I want to introduce our wonderful guests for tonight. These two gentlemen are the hosts of the podcast Sabbath at Midnight. They are Lionel Taveras and Dominic Lionel. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for inviting us on your show.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming, so much so.
It's an honor.
Yeah, it'll be
We
fun.
have a lot in common. I noticed from reading. We were guests on their podcast.
On your podcast, yes.
Yeah, not too long ago, and we're just so happy that we have our own show now. We can reciprocate back and welcome you. So
Thank you.
let me give a little introduction here. Lionel Taveras and Dominic Lionel are the hosts of the Sabbath at Midnight podcast. I already said that. They explore the unexplained, apparitions, enigmatic encounters, supernatural creatures that seem to glitch in and out of our reality. And we share with them a keen interest in exploring ancient myths, legends, and Native American folklore. I especially want to discuss the Hopi legends with them today. We're looking forward to talking with them about the ancient Sumerians, the Olmecs, the Inca, and the impossible megalithic structures found around our world. And we want to talk to them about giant skeletons that have been disappearing all around the world.
Yes, for sure.
And we also share a keen interest in UFOs, alien abduction phenomenon, and want to discuss the possible cryptid connection with them. So it'll be great to discuss this stuff with today's experts. Welcome, Lionel and Dominic.
Hello.
Hey, thank you.
Hi. Thank you.
Thank you, but I'm not an expert.
Yeah,
Well, you've been talking to a lot of experts, and that's going to have to do.
Yeah.
Thank
Exactly.
you, though.
Thanks.
Did you both have any of your own paranormal experiences to kind of kickstart your interest in the field?
Oh yeah, both of us have. Oh yeah, for sure.
Can we hear about them?
Wild stories.
Oh yeah, who you want to go first? Dom, if you want to go first, tell.
Yeah, that's fine.
You have more than me, so.
Yeah, that's fine. For me, it all started when I was a child. I was sitting in the back of my parents' El Camino, 1970 El Camino. That little camper shell in the back, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah, I know them.
And my siblings were sitting in the back there with me too. I was looking out the camper shell window. Like, what is that? It was, as a kid being like 4 or 5 years old, I could only describe it as a flying refrigerator. But now today I know it was a cube. And
Right.
that sparked my interest, And at this time, there were no talk about UFOs or ancient aliens or that stuff. There's no TV shows like that, right?
Oh yeah.
So, eventually, this was in Escondido, California. So eventually my parents moved to Palm Desert. And there I saw many UFOs in the sky, blinking lights, crisscrossing, doing all this stuff. And
Yeah, we live near there too. And
Yeah, we're 20 minutes away from Palm Desert.
Yeah.
Yes, literally.
I know
yeah.
what you mean. We see them too,
So thereafter, my mom got into Bible studies, right? And I was a little kid. I was interested, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having the mind of a child, it's so powerful because it gets diluted as we get older. And so I remember one day I was out back of our home in Palm Desert, and there was a cat mauling a bird, and I shoot the cat away, and I picked up the bird, and I was like this, and it was dead. Had a big old hole in his chest. And my mom says, let's pray for him. Like, what do I know, right? All I know is I believe in, in this man they're talking about, Jesus Christ, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I started praying, and I envisioned his face in my mind, and I started praying. And like maybe a minute later, Mom says, look, open your eyes up. And the hole in the chest started closing up like this. And the feathers started growing.
Whoa.
And the bird flew out of my hand. That wasn't my power. That was the spirit working through me.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, man, that really happened. And
Wow, I've got chills.
It's a real thing.
Wow.
It's a real thing.
If you have a mind of a child and it's coming from the right place, that's when Christ talks about we can do greater things than he did. But how many people have that mind of a child still? Like I did when I was young. I still remember this, but I don't have the power anymore. Not my power, but I don't feel like it's flowing through me anymore.
Right.
And that's I need to find that. I need to find that again.
I had a friend. He was Leonard Grigsby, and he worked for Disney Studios. Okay.
Yeah.
And he was an animator. Actually, he worked for Warner Brothers because he knew Mel Blanc. Actually, I met Mel Blanc. He was a wonderful guy. So anyways, he said that, Stephen, try and keep your childlike wonder about life.
Yep. He
said that will keep you, keep you healthy, and will keep you, it's the right way. And I've talked to people who've had instantaneous healings. In fact, I had one myself that I still can't believe it to this day. When I was 17, I was running up this mountain in these boots, these heavy boots, and I felt both my Achilles tendons just go snap. I thought, oh my God, I just broke my Achilles tendons. And you know what? I just kept on running. I just believed that it was okay. And you know what? No harm, no foul. Instantaneous.
What a bizarre! I guess that's why they're called miracles, right? It's because it's almost it's so hard to believe that it happens right in front of you.
Yeah, and when you're younger, that's when you can manifest that kind of stuff. It's true.
Absolutely. I have one that's it's really quick. I'll say it quick because
let's hear it.
As much of it, this is a quick one. Just I'm gonna throw this one there and let Dominic continue. But even it just could be a coincidence. So when I was a kid, same thing. I really wanted a paintball gun, right? Like this Talon paintball gun they had, and I remember it was the only one they sold. This is back in the day when Walmart was selling firearms. Okay, this is that long ago, all right? So they had, the gun section, and they had this one paintball gun, and it was exactly like $39.99, so like $40, and I wanted it really bad. And same old story with the parents. We don't have any money. We're not going to buy that. Right. And I really wanted it. And that day, my teacher would tell me, if you pray for whatever you want, you get whatever you have. So I started praying. I was like, okay, I'm going to start praying. I'm going to start asking. So I prayed, and I prayed. I was like, I want this gun so bad. But to me as a kid, it was everything to me. I really wanted this paintball gun because everyone had it and I wanted to play. And the very next day, I'm walking with my dad to the postal office, and I'm about 8, 9 years old, and I see a money clip on the floor, and it had I found it. You remember this, Dad? Remember this? And exactly $41 bills in it. My dad didn't know about my prayer or any of that. And I never told him really about it, what had happened prior to that. But what are the chances of the day before? Exactly
the exact amount you need plus tax, right?
All in $1 bills, though. Exactly $40 in the leather money clip.
Yes.
Kept it. I kept it because that little money clip. Who knows where that money clip came from?
Because you had pure of heart. You were pure of heart, and you're young. It's true.
When we were studying Kundalini raising practices of deep meditation and chanting to open up the chakras.
And understanding the laws of karma, which is very important too.
They told us that when your heart chakra is wide open, that's when thought can actually affect reality. It's called, where you can enter into what they called Christ consciousness.
Kind of the jinn state.
Yeah, and in that conscious state, and in that mode of consciousness, thought can actually affect reality, and that's they said this is where miracles come from. Is where, but that the heart chakra is the key, and they said be careful what you think while you're meditating with your heart chakra wide open, because you can actually affect reality with just thought alone. And it made me wonder if that's where. And then your story about being a little child with their heart chakra just radiating out, reaching out to the Christ energy in the universe, like, please, save this bird, and this complete unselfishness about it, and
yes.
I think it's real. I think it really does happen,
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. For me, I was praying to Jesus Christ to help me heal this bird, and it happened, and but that was one event that was very impactful. And then later we moved to a ranch, and so everything got crazy. There was a strange creature out there that made a screeching sound. It sounded like a goat and a woman and a chicken, like all these. It was terrible. This noise. You didn't just hear it, but it went through you. It was very frightening. Whatever this thing was.
Was it a certain time of the night or day? That you heard it?
It varied in the evenings.
That was mostly at night, though. It was only at night.
And I remember when it would come out, all of my dogs would cower at the back door, the front door.
Both doors, yeah, they'd be scratching, trying to get in.
Pit bulls, German shepherds, trying to get in the house. And I could hear this thing screeching. It sounded like it was just down the hill. We lived on top of a hill, and all the brush was removed, so it was a clear view of the desert. I go out there with my spotlight and shotgun. Nothing out there. As soon as I close the back door, it sounds like it's 20 feet behind the door now. Go back out there, there's nothing. So this is something that it might have been from the Indian. Maybe there was an Indian burial ground there.
For sure, because of the pottery.
Yeah, because we found pottery, scorched earth, bones.
Is this the California desert we're still talking about, right?
Oh yeah, down the street from where we're at now. Down the street.
And later, what made sense to me was a chapter in Colossians 1:16 where it says, "For in Him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and indivisible." Okay, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities. And all these things have been created through Him, by Him. So there's things out there that can physically, we can hear them, but they are invisible.
Yeah.
And what this thing was, I don't know. I did get a glimpse of it once. It was a big, dark creature in the trees. Gave my shotgun, boom, 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 boom. I mean, nothing happened. It kept coming back. And
did you get a sense of malevolence from it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could feel it. You always goosebumps everywhere. And
well, we have such a limited range of vision and hearing and smell compared to dogs versus an eagle, versus whatever you want to say, that we have a very, very small range of being able to view things, and so we're limited.
Right. And so later, the years pass. That thing is still coming around. Whatever it is, I go out there and light up the desert with a Mini 14 9mm handgun, and there's nothing out there. I'm just shooting away because you don't know what else to do. And as I got older, I remember when I was coming back from I don't know, it was a club or something. I don't know, maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Dark desert, roads, no street lights. You know what that's like.
Yeah, we do.
And in the middle of the road, there's a big old, the big old owl. It was big. It wasn't the regular. It was a tall owl. And I stopped in the middle of the road because it's blocking the roadway. And I punched it, the accelerator, and tried to hit it, but it flew off. And later, I remember my parents were, I think they're in Las Vegas. Now I was home alone. And I'm hearing the strange sounds outside. So I go out there. There's a bunch of big owls on Taveras trees. There's a bunch of them. I'm like, oh my God. I said, okay. Went inside, got all my firearms, started shooting away. Didn't hit any of them, not even with a shotgun. And I don't really remember what happened after that. But I know I was out there, and there's all kinds of gun smoke and shotgun smoke everywhere. And that was a I don't know. It was a scary moment, but
Did you
I
have a
got the
blackout
nerve.
period afterwards?
He says he didn't really remember, right?
I don't remember what happened after that, but I knew I was shooting at them.
You got Travis Walton after that.
I don't know, man.
That's a good one. Yeah, Travis Walton. Yes.
But
It's so funny that you say owls, because in fact, we started out with a story. We always start our show with a story of our own, and this one is we told tonight was Stephen's mother. The family in Stephen's case, they would remember something with a shimmery quality to the memory. It would almost sparkle and twinkle when they think of these bizarre memories sometimes.
Yes.
And I think it's a sign of memory tampering. And for instance, the abduction phenomenon, frequently people will remember little dribs and drabs or pieces of their abduction, but when it comes to remembering the face of their abductor, they can't remember it, or they'll think of it. And sometimes a lot of people describe them as owls. They remember seeing a shimmery owl,
large owls. In your case, owls tend to be solitary, apart from
they don't usually hang together
during mating season, screech owls or barn owls or whatever, they will be together, but you won't see a bunch of large owls all together at one time. That doesn't happen.
What are they called? A parliament of owls, and there are a bunch of them together or something.
That was creepy though.
Yeah.
And out there in this ranch,
so odd.
I started experiencing attacks by dark shadows. I know it's coming because my ears start ringing.
Right.
And then it's there. One time I saw one in the hallway. This is a dark shadow, tall shadow. And these things just paralyze your body. You can't move. You can't do anything. And that was really frightening too. But you have to fight back, because if these black shadows are good, they wouldn't be doing this stuff to you, terrorizing you. And
did that dark shadow, did it only occur in that one house, or has it kind of followed you to different places?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it since I moved. Nothing like that. It's been several, over 10 years. But there's other things that still happen. Spiritual attacks. Like getting hit in the head.
Okay.
Hearing a growling sound in your ears. So some of that stuff still happens, and I expect it, because when I start exposing this stuff, they don't like that. And these entities are very ancient.
We know they don't like it.
I've had an experience since we wrote the book, where I won't get into it now, but they don't like the fact that
we're writing this book and
that we did this,
exposing them for what they are.
I just had a question quick. Did any members of your family in prior generations have working with the occult, or have experiences that you know of?
I don't. I think there was not on my side of the family, but my relative side of the family.
Okay.
They're my uncle's mom was said to have dabbled into witchcraft, and there was a lot of things that they found out in the place, the old apartment out in India. They found voodoo dolls buried. They my relative saw glowing eyes in the vents. My brothers both witnessed little people, leprechauns.
Really? Stephen saw gnomes.
Both my brother and myself, when we were 8 years old, experienced we call them shimmery garden gnomes.
Again, shimmery quality to the memory,
Yeah, these were classic leprechauns. How people imagine what they look like, that's what they look like. Little pony hat and little boots and all that.
Yeah,
and they're eating and drinking.
Hats too. Yeah.
And But when this was happening, there was a headless man sitting next to them. He had his hands on his neck going like this. They said, and both my brothers
That's
saw
a
it.
nope for me.
Yeah, no.
Yep. That's how old were you when you saw these?
That was my brothers. Are older than me. They told me a story about that. I was too young to remember what happened there. Thank God.
That's
And,
awful.
Was
Yeah.
your brother maybe like around 7 or 8 when he saw?
I think so. I think
Yeah,
so.
that was me. That was me too.
And
both brothers saw it together, so then they weren't tripping.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they my uncle, two of my uncles, there was an empty lot out there. There should be a movie theater. It was called the Aladdin in India. It's not there anymore. And both of them at different times saw an entity coming at them at night as he walked home with a top hat and a cape, and inside the cape was all red. And so I mean, what is that? You know, you just you try to make sense of it, and it's like, well, I don't think it's good.
Yeah, we're trying to sift the difference between alien abductions, regular hauntings from our departed loved ones, and like
paranormal.
demonic activity that seems to be coming through the astral realm.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to sift them all differently, because with the abduction phenomenon, there's always these big blackout periods right after where, and then you wake up tucked in your bed 6 hours later, after.
The one thing that I know from my family, at least going back 4 generations, from Germany to England to California, North and South California, is that this entity, Old Glegley, has been with us for 120 years.
And it follows them to different locations,
yeah,
too.
it's not a single location. It's, multiple. I
Well,
mean, I don't know, maybe 20 different locations.
That's a good thing to bring up because we interviewed Karen Wilkinson.
Sure.
Yeah.
And,
sure, of course.
And she talked about how she had a handler that followed her around.
Yep.
She encountered Nordics
That's us.
in her early life, and she recalls being taken somewhere where this handler was taking her down. She assumes it was an underground base, and she saw vats of like embryonic things growing.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so eventually she encountered her hybrid kids, and she said she had mixed feelings of loving them and being afraid of them because her eyes were all black, and they weren't nice either. They're malevolent, and this
That's
handler.
what I think these black-eyed kids are, that people talk about,
Sometimes
right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think they're alien hybrid creatures.
I don't-
Yeah, and then she saw the true form of this handler, and she says it was a beautiful, scaly reptilian, like colors of the rainbow on the scales.
Yes.
But she
About
knows that
over 6 foot tall, right?
yeah, and she says her feeling was it was evil, and we interviewed another guy recently, Greg, and he talked about this entity that has followed him everywhere, and even to the point where it was beating him up, and this entity
Really? It was physically abusing him, huh?
yeah, and
Wow.
this is through satanic ritual abuse, and so basically made him nuts. He ended up in a psychiatry care for a while because all these things that happened to him, and
Yeah.
and these things know everything about you. They know everything about your family, about your past, about all the way from your first lineage that came on this earth.
Yeah.
And these are known as familiar spirits. They're very ancient, And that's why they have the knowledge of knowing everything about us and our family line. And they'll come to you. Some people will come to them and give them all the answers they want because they know your past. And that's
like the one that's been Stephen's handler
Yeah,
on his family.
I cannot say that in my case, or my certainly not my uncle's case. This old Glegley character saved his life.
And they both prey on the family and protect it.
In our case.
In our case, yeah. Because it's kind of like they need us, right? We believe. And so it's kind of like the cow, the farmer's prize cow. He protects the cow, but he also, abducts it and steals the milk out of it every day.
Also uses the cow, yes, for genetic growth.
Yeah, and it claims.
In my case.
I was going to say that Karen, his sister, she communicates with the family spirit guide, O'Glegley, his name is, and he says that he's been with the Shaws since the Shaws existed, that he's been with the family forever, essentially.
And he said, I'm not an alien.
Yeah, he was incensed.
He was insulted. He was saying, I'm not an alien.
I don't know, man.
I'm not an alien? Yeah, I've been with the Shaws forever.
The entity that I saw when I was 18, during that, I think we talked about those five things that happened in a row that my whole family experienced in two different houses at the same time. This entity was about 6.5 foot tall, blue-white.
Well, it was standing in this intense blue-white light. And so
it was a tall, skinny entity, and it covered the distance between the front door and where I was, sleeping in about 1.5 to 2 seconds, about 25 feet. And when it brought all this blue-white light with it, okay, again, about tall, skinny, about 6.5 foot tall, stopped by my right-hand side. Immediately, the right-hand side of my body completely went paralyzed.
You were saying how they paralyzed you. And then
definitely. And here I'm thinking, as an 18-year-old kid, I'm thinking, I'm going to see old Glegley that I'd heard about from being 3 years of age. I'm going to see the family spirit guide.
Yeah.
I'm still not thinking about aliens or anything like that at this point in 1979, right? So anyways, this entity bent down to me and whispered into my ear. Again, I got to be very clear about this. Was not in my head. It was from outside in my ear. Said, "Hi, Steve."
Yeah, that's creepy, man.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I know.
And so here, half of me is saying, "I want to see your face. I want to talk to you." But the other half of me is being logical, saying,
"No,
you
dude,
can't move.
You can't move." I couldn't even move my left-hand side. Even though I couldn't move my right-hand side, I effectively couldn't move my left-hand side.
Yeah,
my right eye was open when the entity came through the front door, but I couldn't close my right eye. So it was so that went on for about maybe 5 or 10 seconds in my recollection. Then it left, and then I blacked out.
Wow.
Now, the effect of that after was, which wasn't in our documentary, unfortunately, but remind the audience here that 6 hours later, my dad and we were cabinet makers. I was the apprentice. My dad was the master, right? So anyway, 11:30 rolls around, and I decide, I want to get some food for us. So I pulled the coins out of my pocket, and just regular standard American coins, and they're all magnetic, okay? I can pick them up by the edge, by the face. It didn't matter. My dad could do the same thing, too. This is 6 hours after.
So this is, so he's affected by obviously like a powerful electromagnetic field at some point during his abduction.
Right.
And this phenomenon followed him around. But in your case, like, I think the demonic, the shadow people, the more demonic kind of entities, I think they tend to latch on more to a location than they do to a family member per se. What do you think about that, Dominic?
I mean, it's kind of half and half. I mean, because
I think they follow you around.
But some places have principalities that where they have dominion over.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And for me, I think whatever was on that ranch is probably still there, but there's something that will still follow you, and that's because
makes sense to me, actually.
Yeah, that's because for me. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, and they don't like that. They don't like being exposed. And So when we, we don't really all know what happened in our family line. I know that because my mom was Yaqui Indian and Mexican, and her parents, her mom was like full-blooded Yaqui Indian, right? So I go back and do some research on this, and I find out this goes back to the Olmecs. And the Olmecs were,
really?
yeah, they were known as a priest of Atlantis. So is that a curse on my bloodline? So I have to get rid of that, rebuke it. And this was written by a Catholic, I don't know what they're called, the preacher, or I don't know what, but this is way back in the early years, maybe 1500. And this is all in Gary Wayne's book. And Gary Wayne's been another guest of ours many times.
They were missionaries, I guess, back then, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so
Cardinals or something like that.
Yeah, it's really strange. And then when we go back to Karen Wilkinson and what happened to her seeing the hybrids, her children. For me, this goes back to Genesis 6:4 when the angels made it with the women of Earth, and they created this hybrid, the Nephilim. So what are these? What are some of these extraterrestrials, or not? I shouldn't say extraterrestrial. I should more like interdimensional or terrestrial. What are they doing now? They're taking in women like Karen Wilkinson and breeding hybrids, and that's wild. Right. And you mentioned something that piqued my interest. You mentioned like a blue light, right?
Blue white.
So we interviewed these two gentlemen about their abduction in the Sierra Mountains, and what I remember, what Ken was saying, is that a blue, like an Arctic blue light, came through his tent and just hit him.
About right.
He goes, he's making sound effects. It was funny, but it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Remember that? He goes, they got me. It was like a ray. Yeah. And when we continued our interview with Ken and Adolf, Ken talked about how these little drones were like flying around in his room at night. And he says, "Wow." He says, "No one's gonna believe me, right?" So he put cameras up and he sent me a few pictures. They're not really great pictures, but there's something there.
Oh man!
Blue white light was flying around his room.
And then he say he saw like there was like a dog with the head of a cat.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so creepy! Like sitting on his porch, staring at him.
Yeah.
Or was it a human head? I think it was a human head, to be honest.
I don't remember, man. It was pretty crazy.
But he said there was a dog body, and he was either a cat head or a human head. Either way is both creepy because human head or cat head. But yeah, he said that too. And what else did he say?
He said
that guy has a lot of gems in that podcast. Gotta really listen to it. But I mean, some of this stuff, there's no way. There's just no way you can make this up, man.
And he said that he said that during this time he was married. And eventually his wife divorced him because it was too crazy. But he told us that from his bedroom wall, that Arctic blue light showed up again, like a circle, and it came through, and it was like, I guess you could see outside. So it was dematerializing the wall or something. And he says when he touched the blue light, he became frozen. Yeah. So there's how that's how they get people and they paralyze them. It's some kind of Arctic blue light.
Well, I mean, literally the movie, that's funny how I mentioned that Travis Walton, well, in the movie, doesn't he not get hit by light and he's paralyzed and gets sucked up into the ship, right? I mean, isn't it
knocks him back like 20 feet or something,
With all the witnesses, all his buddies there, they saw.
I mean, everybody's telling the same story. They're showing you in Hollywood exactly the same way. So I'm going to assume there's probably a light. And it probably hits you and it probably hurts.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have to take a quick break here, and then I'd love to tell you about another couple blue white light incidences.
Okay. Good idea.
Unfortunately, we have to do it. So.
Yeah, we actually have a sponsor now, so
all right.
we're going to break for a few seconds here. And we're back with our wonderful guests, Dominic and Lionel. Thank you for rejoining us.
No problem.
And, Stephen wanted to tell you about another Just it was the next night, I think,
Yes,
after
yes.
after the coins were
This
magnetized.
this
you
is
know.
what my dad saw, and again, this is 1979 January, so it's dark, and he is awakened in the middle of the night in his bedroom, and we basically, my bedroom had a hallway. We had a hallway between our bedrooms, right? So we had our doors open, and so my dad could always, see my bedroom if need be, right? So anyways, he wakes up, and he sees this wall of blue-white light that is encompassing my doorway, okay? Which is maybe about maybe 15 feet away, okay? 15, 20 feet away. And his being an ex-cop from Britain, what's all this then kind of stuff, he decided he's going to get up and, this is the fifth night of weird things happening in a row that all the family was experiencing at two different homes, 350 miles apart, okay, at the same time, all right? So anyway, so he decides to get out of bed and, say, I'm going to see what's going on,
What's all this then?
he's worried about, his son. I'm his son, right?
Yeah.
I'm the eldest, right? So he was getting out of bed, and then this voice inside his head said, Jeffrey, just go back to sleep. Nothing to see here. Everything's fine. Go back to sleep. And that's exactly what he did. And I have absolutely no memory of that. Okay, zero. Now, the other thing I wanted to touch upon really quickly, because I studied Tai Chi and I taught it for 23 years. I did multiple different martial arts, but Tai Chi was my favorite. So anyways, when I was 23, 22. This was Christmas. This was 1982. It was December 26th. I was very much into reading Paramahansa Yogananda's work. Okay, he was my guy. Okay, still kind of is. And anyway, so I did one of his Christmas meditations at the house in Sonora in the foothills of the Sierras. And at that time in my life, I liked sleeping on my back. That was the thing. I was still in the military doing reserve duty, and I liked sleeping on my back. So I did one of his Christmas meditations about 11:30 at night, put the book down, and went to sleep. I woke up at 4:44 in the morning. I know it was 4:44 because I looked at the clock, the VCR clock that we had. It said 4:44. And this was the first and only time I had a single thought I thought about God's love. And I have no idea why I was thinking that. I just thought about God's love. And I remember smiling, but it was kind of like the smile was coming from my head and the thought was coming from my heart. And the two lines came together and hit me in my third eye. And then this inverted pyramid, again, of blue-white light, came from like 1 billion miles away in a split second. Inverted pyramid hit me in my third eye and basically encompassed my whole body in this cocoon of blue-white light. Again, I'm 22 years of age. I'm pretty pure. Almost don't drink any alcohol at all. Don't do any drugs. I can run a 5-minute mile if I want to. Okay,
no sex.
Very, very little sex. Okay, so anyways, so I'm just basking in this thing. I'm thinking, oh my God, now I understand what these yogis do. They sit with these grins on their face in these lotus positions for 8-10 hours a day, and they're smiling because they're feeling this stuff. I thought, oh my God, these teachings are real. They're real. That you can actually experience the wonder and the beauty of the universe by just clearing your mind and being pure. And at that point in my life, I thought, okay, what am I going to do, Stephen? Am I going to continue to help the family to get my brother and sister through school? Or am I just going to give up the military, go to Tibet, and become a holy man? And I really wrestled with that for a little while. I said, well, no, I can't do that. I've got to help my brother and my sister. But I what it taught me was that these teachings are real. They are real. And I found that out later. Remember I told you the story? 6 months later, my dad and I are going on a job site. Okay, we're on our old Ford 150. 1972 154, right? So I'm just, leafing through the back of a Psychology Today magazine, just, just to amuse myself. And I came across the advertisements in the back. And sure enough, this is 6 months after, right? And there's this man laying on his back on a stone tablet with this multicolored inverted pyramid of light hitting him in his third eye, encompassing him in this cocoon of energy. And the caption was, "You can attain enlightenment via the Rosicrucians." Okay. Believe it or not, you can look it up. Okay. And you know what? The fact of the matter is that, I wasn't a Rosicrucian. I had no interest in the Rosicrucians, but the light that hit me in the forehead, the experience, it was blue-white.
Again,
that was the number one experience of my life, bar none.
And we know there to be a connection between the psychic world and the UFO world, because we recently read a book by Luis Elizondo, who was head of the ATIP program. He's the one that released those videos to the New York Times, and his new book called Imminent. And he said they did MRI scans of the brains of abductees and discovered that they have the same kind of brains as people with ESP. So there's definitely a psychic component to the phenomenon. And I think they actually kind of monitor us in the astral realm. I wanted to ask what you guys thought of that.
Well, the astral realm is a real thing. When for example, we interviewed Greg about his experiences, he went through the astral plane when he died, and it's a different world, but it is real. It's reality, and I think there in the astral realm, I think people got to be very careful, because you can be taken by something very, very, very evil if you're not careful. And what he recalls is seeing that silver cord, and I heard that so many times.
A lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And so these astral realms, there's different creatures in this realm, and I think a lot of that, it has to do with it's a way how to see other parts of other things, even travel to other places, in your spirit body. And for me personally, I don't delve into that, because I'm more not to get into that, according to the Bible. But it's real. It's a real realm. And once again, if someone's not careful with it, they could be taken. And if that silver cord is cut, you're dead. And that's what I got from other people.
That's the thing that holds your astral body to your physical body.
Once that cord is cut, you're finished.
From what I understand about the astral realm, because I do it all the time. Okay, it's an easy thing for me to do. What I understand about that is the astral cord is actually cut when you actually die. It doesn't get cut by a demon taking over, because if they cut the astral cord, then there's no more connection. So it only
there's nothing to possess then anymore.
Right. The astral cord the astral cord basically is cut when you physically actually die. That's when you just basically.
There was a guy.
If the shadow people were coming from the astral realm, you know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, it's a really good someone that talks a lot about that. This woman puts a lot of hard work into it, is Vicky Joy Anderson. She knows a lot about the astral realm and the dream state. But I've heard everything from very pleasant things in the astral realm to very scary things in the astral realm. So, I kind of go with what Dominic says. I just don't think that humans are supposed to be in that realm. I feel like there's a reason why we're in our body right now, and then when we pass, we're going to find out what's out there. So I think we're supposed to be in our bodies until we pass. There's just too many things that, that can go wrong, separating yourself from your body so far away. I read a lot of testimonies about people there's this guy in Africa. I read his testimony. He was a witch doctor, and his family went back like about 5-6 centuries of all this blood lineage of these powerful witch doctors. And when they would summon these these entities, the demonic spirits, whatever you want to call them, they would call them their ancestors. That's what the tribe would call them. But anyways, when they would take this this medicine, they would astral project out their body, or this this drug, this psychedelic. They were astral. The way he described, they were astral project out their body, and some kind of entity would come in place of their body and like keep it alive or something like that. So like while they were out astral projecting, walking around doing whatever they were doing, another spirit had to be in place while they were separated from their body.
That's a totally different thing than what I do. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
no, I'm just talking about all this crazy stuff. No, I'm not saying. Yeah.
I mean, it's for instance, like when you learn to open a door, you better also learn how to shut it too. So there is that thing too, that there are these different laws. The astral realm, it's so different. It's like, for instance, Mike Tyson was very famous for saying that everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face the first time. Okay, but let's say if, like, for myself, I have done the astral stuff so many times, and I've had the knocking behind my head on the wall 3 times, so many times, and heard things that shouldn't be there, a plate glass breaking or a door slamming. And for me, like I just recently, remember I told you, sweetheart, I felt somebody get into bed with me, because Leslie was in the living room, and I felt somebody get into bed, kind of a light person. And I just thought to myself, oh, okay, what's going to happen now, right? I mean, it's been like this kind of thing throughout my life, right? So I woke up, getting ready to go to the bathroom about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm awake. I'm laying on my back, and this voice, it's a woman's voice that sounds Chinese. And it says into my right ear, it says, husband.
It wasn't
Leslie.
me.
Leslie has never called me in our almost 30 years, never called me husband, and she was not in bed. And it was just another one of these things that, it's like I've been punched in the face 1,000 times. So 1,001. But, I can understand that people have something weird like that happen for the first time. Let's say when they're in their 60s or 50s, they're going to say, oh my God, I'm going insane. Or, what is happening? I'm possessed by a demon. But, for me, it's just like, like I got out of my body, like about 5-6 months ago. I didn't realize that I was hovering above my body and I had to go pee, right? About 5:30 in the morning. So I just jumped out. I'm 250 pounds, so I don't jump out of bed. I'm 64 and 250, so I don't jump out of bed, right? But I just leapt out of bed, went to the door, and I couldn't open the door. And I'm looking at the door. I'm trying to post. I can't open the door.
Because he forgot his body.
Then I turn around and I go back to my body, and I see my body laying right there in the bed. I'm saying, oh my God, did I just die? I said, oh no, the silver cord's still there. So I just basically lay back down on my body, and then I got up my normal way, which is a little slow. Okay. It was just like, these things still happen to me,
Do you know why it happens? Just random?
Well, no, sometimes they happen random, but if I do some chanting before I go to sleep, let's say if I want to, do some astral work, I will set myself up to do astral work. I don't frequently want to do it.
But it frequently happens to him without it in trying. In other words, it spontaneously happens a lot.
Right. It just does.
It's like a door he opened years ago, and he hasn't been able to reclose it. Where I
don't really want to reclose it.
Yeah,
though.
for
me,
me,
don't.
As soon as I stopped doing the work, I stopped astral projecting. As soon as I stopped chanting.
She had much better experiences than me.
Yeah, it was fun for me, but every time he went astral, it seemed like the things that were plaguing him were just on the other side of the veil. For me, it was fun, but for him, it was scary.
Yeah, that's why I'm not trying to. That's a 50-50 right there. That's a 50-50.
Yeah, that's why I say that, it's kind of like, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. If you have a teacher that really knows what they're doing and knows the ins and outs and what you should do and what you shouldn't do, it's like having a mentor in
Right.
anything. When when I wanted to study Tai Chi, all of a sudden the teacher appeared, and then I became a teacher for 23 years. It's like I was ready at the right time, and the teacher was there at the right time. I just wish I would have had somebody that would say, okay, this is how you astral project, and this is what you do, and this is how you avoid the pitfalls, and this is how you have fun. So unfortunately, I have not been able to find that particular person yet.
I wanted to switch back to our conversation to the Nephilim that we were discussing before. The way I kind of see it is that human beings of 13,000 years ago, we saw this comet coming, and we separated into groups that went underground to survive the impact, and the rest of us poor schmoes left on the surface to live or die based on if we built an ark fast enough or not. And then most of these flood myths that I studied, they say that mankind on the surface was dying out, that we were about to be snuffed out. We had devolved into barbarism and cannibalism.
Yeah.
When the Watchers took pity on us and came back to us and re-civilized us again. So I feel like that our cousins, the aliens that are living under our feet, they took pity on us and decided to come back and re-civilize us. I think it's because they knew they needed us. But in the meantime, they had mutated slightly. So when they came back to us and took wives among us, right, proving, and then they start having progeny, I think they had mutated enough to where the progeny were these strange giants, the Nephilim, these hybrid creatures.
Yeah. What's your
What did you guys think about that? Do you think that I may be right on that, or what?
I mean, for me, I have my view on it would be is how the biblical narrative goes, and then when you look at different cultures and other past civilizations, it pretty much lines up with what it will say in the biblical account of Genesis, and then you go into Enoch 1. Now, Enoch 2 or Enoch 3, that one can't be proven externally, but the book of Enoch is a real book, and it has a Dead Sea Scroll that can go back all the way to the 5th century BC. But anyways, they all have this description. In the book of Enoch, we'll even go into more details of even the names of these entities. If you guys would want to call them aliens or extraterrestrials, in this book, they are entities from a higher dimension. And, kind of like the same thing, they took wives, and these women had babies, and these babies didn't stop growing. They got very big and kind of just took over eventually they became, what's the word? The top of the food chain. I mean, that would be called in the days of Egypt and days of the Greek gods, that would be, the golden age, So I think that's what happened. Eventually they had this golden age, and there was just too many, and the earth couldn't sustain it. And, in my belief, there is a higher power and there's a creator, and the world had to be flooded. Otherwise there wouldn't have been no more of human creation left, because the way it's being written and the way it's being described is that Noah and his family were the last of his genealogies that were clean. Because the book says specifically, when it says, I chose you, Noah, and your family because you were clean in your genealogies. I mean, that's very specific. So to me, I think that was the last, the most purest genetic human specimen left. And, God's creation, he wants it to strive, and, flooded the earth. And I don't think they all died. I think some of them survived, went underground. Maybe some, flew up and went somewhere else. But I do think a lot of them survived. And that's just kind of my take on it. I don't know how Dominic is. Dominic might have a different view on it, but go ahead. That's my take on it.
Well, I mean, that's a long answer. I'll try to shorten it for me. When we look at the Sumerian text, we read that the kingship from heaven descended, and this is a Sumerian text. And there were 7 sages, okay, plus Satan, and David Roll's work. He's a archaeologist, anthropologist, and he put this together that these 7 sages plus Satan that came, this was like before the flood, but it happened twice. And these 7 sages are also known as the Anunnaki, the you can call them Nagas, you can call them the Viracochas, you can call them various names, same creatures.
Yeah.
And these entities, they came to rescue mankind. They taught them the illicit secrets of heaven, which they weren't supposed to do. And cutting the roots and weaponry and whatever else, makeup and all this stuff. So these 7 sages, from what I understand, they toured the earth and they taught how to build these megalithic structures. Mm-hmm. Especially in Egypt, you have a time before the dynastics that they don't understand how this rose granite was cut so perfectly. Back then, you're talking thousands years ago.
With copper tools, and guess what?
No,
it's impossible.
No. So if you go deeper into Mantheo and Berosus, I think they're 3rd century BC. They tell us what happened from their writings that weren't destroyed in Alexandria, and they talk about the Shebtu and Shebeti. These were the 7 sages. They taught humans how to build these things, how to, if it's Mexico, if it's China, wherever in the world we have these megalithic structures, they taught them how to do this. So these 7 sages in Egypt, they interbred with the women of the earth. And when you go back and look at Akhenaten's sculpture, his head's serpentine.
Yeah,
so,
it's a very strange face. Yeah.
So these, more than likely, these were serpent entities. For me, they're probably the rebel seraphim angels that's described in the Bible. And so they taught them all this knowledge, and as time went on, these legends continue with the Anunnaki. You got the weird looking sculptures where it's like a man with the head of something else and a torso of a lion and different faces. Mm-hmm. For me, that describes the cherubim or cherubim in the Bible. They're animal like, and then they can pose, I think, 4 different faces, whatever they want. So I mean, it's a deep subject, but I think all these they came from the heavens, the second heaven. So we know in the Bible that there are powers and principalities in the second heaven. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
And what we're seeing today now, I think a lot of it's government. I think a lot of it's these creatures, these entities.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I mean, you guys seen any drones? Or whatever you want to call them, UAP. I mean, the news calls them drones. All of a sudden, everything's a drone now in the sky now.
Yeah. The most recent one we saw was when we moved to where we live now. For me, it was like they were saying, "Hey, Steve, I know where you guys are."
No, he's talking about the drones on the East Coast, I believe.
No.
There's this rash of drones happening on the East Coast.
It's all over the world. They're popping up in China.
The last one we saw was 2020. Actually, it was
particularly over Bedminster Golf Club.
Oh no, when I mean drone, I mean what the media is calling them now. Everything's a drone now. We saw some 3 weeks ago. We saw a few of them. Right. I mean, we see them all the time, but more than usual during the time when everybody's seen them. And some look like mechanical, man-made craft and move like it. Some look like energy, like they're not even made of. They're not mechanical. It's like they're a living organism, like an orb.
Right.
And that's the most recent one that we saw. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the ones I saw. The orb-looking ones.
Yeah,
breathing.
There's these orbs that were described very well by one of the pilots that was being interviewed by Congress in the summer of 2023.
It was Graves, right?
Yeah, Ryan Graves. He describes these orbs they were seeing on the East Coast. It's a sphere of clear glass, about 15 feet in diameter, and inside there's a cube or a black cube or a dark gray cube. And when these objects hover, these cubes spin inside the orb and gives it appearance of flickering. So a lot of us, we see these orb videos, where it's just a round sphere and it flickers in the distance.
Well,
and
remember Graves? He was flying his F-18.
Yeah,
at the time, right?
this is they were seeing these
and they
things
went right in between them, at hypersonic speed.
Yeah, the supersonic speeds. They were flying the F-18 Super Hornets, I think they're called, and this one orb flew right between two of them, going at supersonic speed, and.
This is what, 2014, 2016?
The Red Rippers were seeing them 2015, I believe.
2015, right, on the East Coast.
Right. And so we believe that obviously it's not a manned craft, and these orbs make up about 52% of UFO sightings. And they can behave like showing these, they're called observable characteristics of UFO, defining UFO activity. In that they can, things that can take off at supersonic speeds instantaneously
and make angular turns,
make high-speed angular turns at g-forces beyond anything we can take.
They're soundless.
They're silent generally. The exception is sometimes there's a low frequency hum that's more felt than heard, and then they take off. And they frequently cloak right in front of people. They'll just disappear.
And they're transmedium, too.
And they can go from ocean to air to space, But then there's these other drones that are taking place on the East Coast that do not exhibit any of these observable characteristics. And so we think they may be man-made drones. We really don't know. For sure what they are, but
it appears that they are.
Yeah, they're not doing any of the those observable characteristics, meaning that they have super abilities that are beyond our capabilities or something.
Yeah, it's really that's really interesting. All this started happening, all over the world.
And then these, I'll just stop too.
Pretty recent too, yeah. And
what really kind of concerns me and Leslie too is that there's 8 billion people in the world right now, and we're just not getting along very well. That's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
And if our cousins really are subsurface and are more advanced than we are, they must be pretty concerned, especially after the 2,000 nuclear detonations we've done so far.
And how patient are they going to be with us?
And I'm sorry, guys. We're going to take like one more break, okay?
Sure.
No, go ahead, man.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. So we're back with our guests, Dominic and Lionel. Thanks again, guys, for coming and for being with us on our show. I wanted to ask, you know how giant skeletons are being discovered, and as soon as they're discovered, there's a newspaper article about it. The Smithsonian shows up, and suddenly everything disappears, right? And is just gone forever. The thing is that the same thing has been happening in other countries around the world. Giant skeletons are discovered, and these men in black show up in Italy and Sardinia and Malta and England,
UK.
It's almost like it's pointing to a cabal of the Illuminati and the secret power organization.
Yeah, what the heck's going on with that?
That they don't like to show their hand. But in the case of disappearing giants, they're showing their hand. You know what I mean? It's like they've tipped their hat, and we can see that they really do exist. And why? What is so critically important about giants that they have to disappear this evidence?
I mean, I would say, well, number one, wherever you find, when you look back at those, stories and those articles where they're finding giant bones, I would definitely say wherever the Smithsonian was at, the Vatican Church was also there too, taking up all these bones. And that's a fact right there. That's not an arguable thing. That's a fact. The Vatican Church has had their hands in all this stuff the whole time as well. And you can all, and ladies and gentlemen, if you listen to this, if you believe in, most of the history you're taught, you know what I mean? Like the conquistadors and all that stuff, like these people that we based our history on in America, and those people that sailed and looked for land, these people that we say that are real people and we base our history off of, they wrote about in their diaries about seeing giants that were alive and tribes of them, and and then finding their bones. Like, these are people that that we're supposed to trust for our history. So I mean, were those people lying? I don't think so. And people like to say, oh, there was an older time, they weren't that smart. I mean, these people were sailing across oceans and they weren't stupid. So I'm pretty sure when they saw a giant, it wasn't some guy that was 6 foot tall. I'm pretty sure they're not stupid enough, to not know the difference between someone who's 6 foot tall and some monstrosity that's 10, 11, 12 feet tall.
Yeah, I think the highest ones were
even
12
bigger.
foot is like supposed to be the
between
tallest,
12 and 20 feet tall. You go back to England too, yes.
Well, as far as the skeletons that I read up on, writing the book, I read about 120 articles on different skeletons that have been found, and I think the tallest they're just topping out about 12 foot. But still, we're talking about huge. They're 6 foot across at the shoulders. This is a much bigger person. And what's the big deal? They're in the Bible. What's the big deal? There used to be giants. So what? But what is it so important that they have to go through? They have to basically show their hand in order to.
The Smithsonian was, back then just pumping into our school systems and our education and college about evolution. Now, if you have a bunch of giant humanoid bones that prove the Bible wrong, I mean, that would ruin a lot of the academics and whatever their agenda was to condition us that people were coming from monkeys. That would disprove all that. So that's my theory on one reason. Number two, it would prove the Bible. And, most people say, well, why would the Vatican want it? Well, I don't, that's a whole nother story. I just don't believe the Vatican has the best interest for the people.
Yeah, they definitely have their own best interest at heart.
Watch what they do, not what they say.
Exactly. So my main reason would be, during that time when it was happening, I would say it was because, number one, to keep the evolution lie or whatever. In my opinion, it's not, I don't believe in evolution, to keep that lie going, because those bones would disprove evolution, and it would also prove more of the biblical narrative of it being true. That's my reason for it. Dominic, what do you think why they want to hide the bones back then? Now I think it's more openly now. I would say people that would even deny are more open to this now, but I think back then it's not different.
Well, it's like you're saying, it would prove the Bible to be true and everything else in it. Did giants exist? Yeah, of course they existed. We got it all in the Native American stories.
The Hopis.
You got the Native American stories. You have them fighting these red-haired giants. You have the giants. You have giants all over the world. You have the Tuatha De Danann.
Obnoxious cannibals.
Yeah.
the Paiutes, right? The ancient Paiute tribes or something.
Yeah, they're cannibals. Yeah, they're cannibals, and in Central America, these ancient people, the Incas and all of them, they had to battle these giants because they were cannibals. They had to,
conquistadors went to war with them. They wrote about it in their diaries and their expeditions.
Well,
really?
Yeah. Oh, you can look this up. Yeah, this is real. This is like Christopher Columbus spoke
he
about.
He saw UFOs too.
Yeah, seeing dogs. There was a whole race of dog-headed people. Christopher Columbus talks about that in his diary. So do his fellow explorers, like Cesar de Leon talks about when he went to Peru. He said there were skulls there that they found that when they got their sword, which was about, I don't know, 2.5, whatever, how long a sword is, they could put it through the eye socket of the skull and it wouldn't touch the back of the skull. It would not touch the back of the skull.
No.
Talking about a skull. We're talking about something that's like 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
In their diaries, not just one skull. They found a lot. It's not just, this anomaly. No, they found a bunch of it everywhere.
And did you guys see that program where they opened up one of those Peruvian skulls that are the very weird skulls, that don't have the sagittal suture down the middle of the skull, and they're definitely not completely human, right? But they opened up one of these skulls and they got some DNA out of it, but they could only get the mitochondrial DNA, the side of the mother.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's strange.
But in Peru, the DNA that came back is like Scottish.
Wow. The redhead.
You
There
know,
you go. See, you got the redhead.
yeah, you know, and like, well, you know, Scottish in Peru, 5,000 years ago in Peru.
Yeah, a really good guy we met a couple times, Hugh Newman. He's written the books, really the definitive
He's
stuff.
done a lot of work on the giant,
like the giants of North America, the giants of England.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Welsh guy, a Welsh British guy, right?
Nice.
He can really spin a yarn, but he's also very well spoken. And the interesting thing is that the giants they found in America, some of them have double rows of teeth.
Oh yeah.
But in England they've never found
the double row teeth
the
people.
double row teeth. But there's tons and tons of legitimate stories.
Oh yeah.
The giants. I mean, like in Malta too. They have all these grave sites. These things. There's like literally thousands of them that are designed for beings that are like 8 to 12 feet tall.
Yeah.
These burial.
These Niragi places.
Niragis, right? Yeah.
Well, they say in the Solomon Islands they're still alive. Like those tribes there's still some there, and these people are dead serious about like don't go up to the mountains, don't go to this forest, and it's serious. It's serious business in the Solomon Islands, Sardinian Islands, and Malta. Like all this is like a giant infested area. That's what what the people
Yeah.
say.
No, even around Mount Shasta, the local Indians, they call them the men of the mountain. They say you do not go up there because it's the men of the mountain, which means Bigfoot, of course.
Oh man, there's a really good book you guys should read. Called the mysteries of Solomon, the mysteries of the Solomon Islands, and it is a testimony of an explorer. I believe this was in the late 1800s, early 1900s when this man's talking about his journey. And this guy talks about some wild stuff that would sound like a bunch of nonsense, but today when you read it with all the information that we have, this guy is talking about things that was way ahead of his time. He's talking about some of these islands were made of pure emerald, pure rubies. But the thing was, he said there was a tribe of giants there, a bunch of giants, and they said their bows, when they would shoot the bows, it would go through a coconut tree. Like that's how big their bows were. And he would talk about how there would be these UFOs in the sky, and the locals would call them snakes. And the locals, it was a rate every day. Like they would see it. When he saw it, he freaked out. But the locals were like, "No, this is our snake god." And it's a UFO. They're seeing a UFO, like a snake, and it would come out of the water. It come out of a lake. It would come out of a lake at night, and it would go fly around, the area, the islands, and it'll go right back down. And there's just all kinds of crazy stuff this guy talks about. But he gets really into detail about the giants that he met there. And he even connected, now that I'm talking about this, I got to send you these articles and link it in. But
yeah, please do. Yeah.
We
he even
read that.
spoke about how he met one of these giants, and this giant wasn't as big as the rest. He was more human, I guess. And he had a name and everything. And he befriended it. And they were trading tobacco with these giants for other things. And they had like a little relation. It was only like about 6'2", 6'3". I guess he was one of the smaller ones. But like you said, they're more broader though. So even though he was only a little over 6 foot, his muscle mass and just the thickness of him was beyond. Like he was still a freak of nature. And I guess the boxing event happened in Australia. And I guess if you look this up, this boxing event in the early 1900s, this giant competed and he was disqualified because when he threw a punch, his hand went through the man's chest and killed him instantly. This is like a true story, apparently.
Definitely send us the link of the Solomon Islands.
The mysteries of the Solomon Islands, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out. It's a crazy book. Crazy.
The Anunnaki story, how about supposedly 300,000 years ago or so, they took Homo erectus and uplifted us into Homo sapien, and then continued working on us, over the next 50,000 years, improving us into Homo sapien. And I would have thought, oh, what a nice little myth this is. Isn't this a nice myth? Except that it looks like we're actually discovering it might be true. It looks like about 300,000 years ago, when the neocortex was developing in our brains. It looks like there's been an editing job done to the genome of the human genome in that particular part of the brain.
Near broke his brain. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I mean, we couldn't, if we were uplifted, and it is proof of uplifting, then obviously we couldn't have uplifted ourselves. You know, somebody else uplifted for us. And so I think it's kind of funny how there was this fight in England about, you know, the 1900 or so, where they, you know, the church was saying, oh no, we God created us, you know, in his image, and science says, no, we evolved from monkeys, and they were battling this out. And I think it's kind of funny because
they're kind of both right.
They're both right. If this is true, they're both right, because we just evolved along normally, evolution, until we became Homo erectus, and then the Anunnaki gods stepped in and finished making man, you know, from those creatures. And so
that's why we're so good at, like, you know, enslaving people, and why we love gold so much. There's like so many things. It's like, you know, we have all the 7 deadly sins.
So it's funny because they could both be right. You know,
they could.
And there's this battle over it for years that, you know, where and you know, have you ever read the Sumerian version of the Adam and Eve story? Dominic, have you ever read that one?
Did you get that?
I don't. I can't really recall too much of it.
It's, you know, where they're expelled from Eden because they ate an apple, right?
Right.
Well, in the Sumerian version, they're expelled from Eden, which Eden was a real place in ancient Sumeria. Yep. They spelled it Edin.
Mm-hmm.
And supposedly they were expelled because they were having sex with the gods. And the tree of knowledge, you know, in the Bible, knowledge is knowing. And knowing of a woman means you're having sex with her, right? You know?
Yeah.
And so...
carnal relations.
In other words, she didn't get in trouble because she ate an apple. She got in trouble because they were having sex with the Anunnaki and creating this hybrid race of Nephilim. And the head Anunnaki guy, Enlil, he found this blasphemous, right? And so he expelled all the humans from his Garden of Eden, which was literally a real place in ancient Sumeria. And see, that makes so much more sense to me. It's like... A blaspheming where you know has something to do with sex. That sounds a lot more like the Bible for real than like, and a good reason to get mad instead of, oh, she ate an apple, throw them out. You know, the apple thing never made sense to me.
Being
right?
seduced by the snake, you know. So.
Yeah, and one of the other gods, the Anunnaki, is Enki, was frequently. Attributed to being one of the snake gods. You know, he's frequently seen with snakes around him. So
Satan,
snakes and fish, the two things he was mainly known for. So I think the serpent, you know, in the Garden of Eden is actually supposed to be his brother Enki, and it explains a lot of the duality of God, right? God loves us sometimes and sometimes wants to kill us all, you know? It's like, but you know, in the Sumerians, the Enki likes humans. He's like our friend, whereas Enlil thinks we're noisy and obnoxious and wants to kill us all. So, and it's funny because Enki ends up getting attributed to be more like Satan. He's the one that's thrown out.
Yeah.
He's disgraced and he's forced to live amongst humans, you know, and thrown down to earth to be the temptation of humans. And to me, the two brothers fighting it out as far as who's in charge, it seems like explains a lot of the duality of God.
Cain and Abel too.
Yeah, like the Cain and Abel brothers. The brothers always, you know, the loving hand of God and the righteous destruction hand of God. You know, it seems like it explains a little bit better to me.
Yeah,
you know?
to me too. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a time when in the Bible where there was a creation of human beings before Adam. These are the day 6 people, and these are more than likely, in my opinion, these who the Anunnaki were interbreeding with. They're also known as the blackheads in Sumerian texts,
Mm-hmm.
and they may have been altered, their DNA. But these are not the people that when God says, He's going to create, man and woman and all that stuff, right?
In His
So,
image.
in His image and stuff. So,
Yeah.
and we look at this, and we look at Cain, and Cain's going to Nod, to a city named Nod. Well, wait a minute. There's only supposed to be Adam and Eve. His
Yeah,
brother
was the
Seth
city
been killed, and Cain. So how is there a city and other peoples there already? So the Bible explains. The Bible
Right.
explains in Genesis 6 that there was a people known as the day 6 people.
Mhm.
They were before the creation of Adam and Eve. And when Adam came, way later, Eve was created. So there's the Anunnaki, that goes back to the 7 sages.
Right.
Yeah.
This goes back to the kingship that descended from heaven. So these creatures they've been here. They're very ancient. They've been here a long time. And there's no doubt that they made it with the women. And there's no doubt they did other things like, knowledge and all that stuff. And that also mirrors Genesis 6:4, when the angels came and made it with the human and women. It's kind of the same
Yes.
story. And
Right.
but that's my take on that. They probably did alter some humans, but in my opinion, these were the blackheads. These were the day 6 people. This was before Adam.
Yeah,
So,
the Sumerians called all humans the black-haired ones, or the black-headed ones, I believe. Yeah.
So when someone talks about the Bible, so the Bible's only 6,000 years old, that's not true. It goes way back, from the
Yeah.
creation of Genesis to the day 6 people. We don't know how many thousands, if not hundreds of thousands years passed before Adam. So yeah, the Bible is 6,000 years old when
Yeah.
Adam was created.
Yeah, well, we also know, like you guys know, about Göbekli Tepes, the
Yeah.
Tepes, that are being dated between like 12 and almost 13,000 years old.
Of course, we
Yeah,
have
so-
Sitchin's theories that the Anunnaki arrived about 450,000 years ago and spent like 150,000 years here on Earth trying to mine our gold, like the gold.
Yeah.
And then they got sick of doing the work, and it took them a
Yeah.
long time. 150, they're patient people, 150,000 years. But then at year 300,000 or so is when there was a rebellion, according to Sitchin. They rebelled against Enlil, and because the workers were dying in the mines. And Enlil's first instinct was to punish the workers
Yeah.
and kill them, essentially, and punish them.
Yeah.
But Enki came up with this idea about creating us, essentially. And he called the first creature, his creation, Adamu, instead of Adam, the Adamu. And that was supposed to happen at about 300,000 years ago. And ironically, we think that they may be created Bigfoots at the same time. At that time period, there were 2 possible Bigfoot progenitors on the planet that could have been used where they pulled the DNA to make them. There was Australopithecus robustus, which I
Yeah.
think is a pretty good candidate, and then Gigantopithecus too. And so, but they're not perfectly upright walking creatures like Bigfoot is. And I think what happened is that they were looking for a worker, right? So maybe they created Bigfoots and us, both perfectly upright walking creatures capable of doing work. But, the Bigfoots would be a lot better workers in some ways, right? They're much stronger. But perhaps they just weren't intelligent enough to do the kind of labor that was needed. But certainly they could, and I think the aliens utilized them as sentries to guard entrances to their underground cities.
It seems
Yeah.
to be what they're doing.
Yeah. Like, you heard about that lake where they discovered all those skeletons?
Leprechauns.
Yeah. Did you hear about that?
It's
No.
up into the border of Tibet and
India.
In India,
It's actually
right.
across the Indian border, but it's on the slopes of Mount Kailash, supposedly the home of this underground city called
Shangri-La.
Shangri-La. Thank you.
Yeah, Shangri-La. Yeah.
Yeah, and Rupkund is a lake, 14,000 foot, and they discovered all these skeletons in this lake, and people were, well, maybe there was a battle here, and the losers were all just tossed in the lake or something. But they've been DNA testing these skeletons and find that they span 1,000 years.
Oh yeah.
And that they're all different races, like
Celtic for one.
Yeah, like Scottish and Celtic, and all from all over the place.
Right.
So we think that, and a lot of them have their heads bashed in, like from above.
Someone took a club and
a behemoth took a club and bashed their heads in. So what I think is that the Yeti, they used Yetis as sentries to guard the entrances to the city of Shangri-La, right on the slopes of Mount Kailash. Yeah. And when a scouting party gets too close, the Yeti bash them in the head and chuck their bodies in the lake.
Again, watch what the information tells you, not what people say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The information is showing you that, hey, these thousands of skeletons all in this 14,000 foot elevation lake that's way above the tree line that spans over 1,000 years of different people, and they all have their heads bashed in, and they're from different parts of the world. Okay,
and we know Shasta. Shasta is a big Mount Shasta is a definite one of these underground cities.
Yeah, they call them the Men of the Mountain.
And it's Bigfoot. It's Bigfoot Central around Mount Shasta.
That's what I hear.
They're famous for it.
It's true. We met, actually, remember this past 2024 July the 4th. We were up in Big Bear. Remember? Mm-hmm. We were doing, promoting our book, whatever. We met these two Athabascan Native American Indians. People don't realize, Athabascans, you think it's just in Alaska, but they come all the way down to Colorado and whatever. So anyways, this guy makes these really, really nice fly fishing lures, from feathers and this kind of stuff. And so we got talking, and he just said matter-of-factly that I've seen Bigfoot about 3 times.
Oh, wow.
The most recent time, I was on a 15-hand horse. And, this guy's probably about 6 foot tall, right? So anyways, he came across Bigfoot, and they were like at eye height. So he said that this Bigfoot had to be about 8 or 9 foot tall.
Yeah, at least 10 foot tall.
And says, the Bigfoot, if you are a Native American, there's they don't have hostility towards Native Americans. So he's seen Bigfoot, about 3 different times. And I detected no lie in this guy. It's just like this matter-of-factly that he's talking about this. I've heard this from other people, too. It's the white man that Bigfoot doesn't trust. It seems to be.
I took this, we were at Contact in the Desert, big UFO convention in our area.
That's in Yucca Valley, right?
It used to be in Yucca Valley. Now it's in Bermuda Dunes area.
Where at?
Yeah. It's at the Esmeralda, the Renaissance Esmeralda Hotel.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
gorgeous
location,
hotel.
but it's
Bermuda
expensive.
Dunes.
Yeah, it's.
No! It's Indian Wells or Indian.
Oh, okay. I was about to say
Indian Wells. Yeah, Indian Wells.
But yeah, it's a real swanky hotel now, and a lot of fun. But I went to a Bigfoot lecture there, and apparently they have isolated the genome. So Bigfoot exists.
Yeah.
It's been genetically proven now. They did what they call a environmental archaeology, right? Where they take water samples and they DNA test, and find out what's peeing anywhere near this creek, right? And sure enough, they've isolated an unknown primate is living in the North American wilderness.
That's right.
Hey,
it's been proven.
Yeah.
That plus the hair and other things.
Well, there's that guy that just had that video that came out. It's all over. This guy's trying to sue. I don't know who he's suing, but he's getting traction for it. You didn't see that video, that Bigfoot up close? That guy has that video of it. It's like it has his whole face, and I guess he's going to court for it right now and trying to win it because no one's no one's giving him his credit due. And let me see, it's if you just look up a Bigfoot captured in the wildfire video, terrified by a hiker, October 3rd, 2024. Yeah, you guys gotta check that one out, man. I mean, it's an up
Thanks.
close video. It's super up close, and you can see the face and everything. And this guy's like really adamant about it, and no one can deny that it's fake because the people, when they, hey, you can go ahead and check my video, see if I edited it. There's nothing edited. So
That's
it's either a guy with a really good mask or it's Bigfoot. But then they did that thing where they analyze it, and you know how it does like a structure. The way the face was moving, it couldn't have been a mask unless it was a super advanced mask that had muscle, where every muscle moved.
Ironically, we all have cameras. This is the age where everyone has a video camera in their pocket now.
Yeah.
And ironically, CGI has advanced to the point where we can't trust anything we see.
No, absolutely not.
It's a little bit maddening, where you see videos on Instagram or something, and is it real or is it not? I don't know.
Is it Memorex? Yeah. Is it real Memorex?
I saw this wonderful Bigfoot video where you can't see him very well, of course. You never can, right? Except this new one I want to definitely see that you're telling me about.
Oh, so the guy's name is a videographer described the encounter with Bigfoot, catcher, blah, 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 blah. The moment, the mystical. I'm looking at it right now. Wish I could send it to you guys. I don't know how to send it.
Sure, like after we're done, for sure.
Yeah. Send us the link later.
Yeah, that and the Solomon Islands book. Yeah, I'm very fascinated by that.
That's wild. I just I sent that one to you guys already, but I bought this book like 5 years ago. I looked it up when I was sending you guys the link. You cannot find one for less than $500, the physical copy. I guess it became rare when I bought it. It was $15 when I bought it.
Yeah, that's typical.
Shoot. Well, I'll have to read about it.
Like if you try and get the like an original copy of Fire in the Sky.
Oh wow!
I mean, as far as like trying to get that. It's almost impossible.
Like $100 for a crappy
they were really expensive.
Oh, that's wild. I have the book by Steve Quayle, The Giants. It's actually, speaking of giants, I have the first book that he made about the Giants. Is one of his books, and it's worth like $500-600.
Yep.
And I bought it for like $8.
Well, we should be signing off here pretty soon.
Yeah, it's going to be about our time.
Yeah, we're
no problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming on, and
we had a good time.
I'm sorry we do too much of the talking. We always do this.
That's fine.
We're still trying to figure out how to be like.
Look, my best advice to you guys is keep being yourselves. That's the best part. You guys be yourselves, and that's the best way. Like right now, you guys did fine to me. That's why you guys are getting traction. That's why you got a sponsor. They believe in you. You guys are doing good.
That is good advice. Thank you. Yes.
No problem. True.